I walk in the door with her after greeting her, and everyone's jaws just dropped.
And people are going, is that? I'm like, yeah, right. It is her. I can't hardly believe it's happening myself. So I run down to the kitchen, I'm like, Oprah's here.
Yeah,
Make the best pizzas you've ever made in your life.
I'm Max Treeweiler, one of the co-owners of the Mitten.
And I'm Chris Andrus, the other co-owner of the Mitten.
Yeah. We are lifelong friends. We met in first grade and wanted to do something together in business to make money. And we both had a passion for brewing.
We were home brewing in the garage for probably 2 years before we started this place. And now 8 years later, it's been quite a wild ride.
Yeah. Went from 5 gallons at a time to 620 gallons at a time.
We didn't have as much money as pretty much anybody that starts a brewery, so we set our emphasis on standing out from the pack, and one way that we thought we could do that was by starting here on the west side, which hadn't had a brewery since before Prohibition. And we fell in love with this building. It's one of the only remaining Victorian landmarks in the city. And it was our first choice, and we got it. And at times we regretted that because it was such a monumental pain to get up to code and get open. We told this before, but we worked 8 months without a paycheck in here, dirty every day, trying to get it in shape to be opened. We always had our eye on the prize at the end of the process. We knew we could potentially be making history here, and it was, in my opinion, it was brave. Some people thought it was foolish to be on the west side here where the concept of a brewery hadn't been proven. But we believed in ourselves and our abilities, and even though it took a lot longer and it was a lot harder than we thought, it paid off.
And part of our business plan, honestly, was to not only be in that neighborhood, to be active members in the community. And that's where the whole idea behind what is now the Mitten Foundation and our giving program was based on, to be over here on the west side where there was a need, and to not only just be here, but to be active and give back. And we've done that since day one.
Funding any startup is difficult, and certainly when we started looking for traditional debt funding, it was 2011, and this is only 2 years after the housing collapse, and I had been a musician before, so no one was lending me money. And no matter how strong your business plan is, it's an inherently risky industry. So we knew we had to set our sights on outside investors, friends and family. And honestly, an unexpected success in our fundraising strategy was building that giving into our business plan. I know for a lot of investors, it seemed foolish that we were already talking about giving money away that we didn't have. We didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. But others saw it as a commitment to a neighborhood. And ultimately, when you're investing in a startup or a company, you're giving because you believe in people. It's an investment you make in individuals and whether or not you want to intertwine your future with theirs. And I think that knowing that we had that ethical basis for why we wanted to start our company shook loose fundraising dollars we probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
And after we got the building, we started demoing it. All of the money that we got was tabbed for remodeling the building. So we went that 8 months without the paycheck. And after we started showing some progress, people were wanting to throw money at us when they saw the building and how awesome it was.
Yeah. And even though it was a challenge, we wouldn't trade that process for anything in the world. I mean, these are tables we built ourselves because we couldn't afford to buy them out of a catalog. And you care that much more about it when you look across the tap room and see people sitting at tables you built with your own hands. The baseball concept of this business is very much an outcropping of our interest in baseball. We both wanted to be big league baseball players when we were kids, like pretty much every American boy. Didn't pan out that way, but we still had an interest in it, and also was kind of a strategy on our part to meld 2 successful bar concepts together, sports bar and brewery.
Yeah, we built this place around ourselves, honestly. We knew we were going to be here every day, basically.
We wanted to want to hang out here.
Yeah. So we hope that other people did too, and it turns out they did.
When we opened up, we thought in the back of our minds, how cool would it be if the Tigers came here and if we got to share our creation with our sports heroes. And it was pie in the sky, but we actually have struck up a great relationship with the team. We've hosted the Tigers here before, and Hall of Fame former Tigers have spoke to our customers before, and it's been a great relationship that we never thought we'd get to. Probably the biggest surprise that the Mitten has given us is not just that it was so successful, but that the pizza was so successful. We arrived at pizza early on because we knew we weren't going to have a big kitchen. We figured we can do one thing, let's just try to do it as well as we can. So every night we'd meet up in our kitchens and make pizza dough, cook it, try it, scrap it, try it again. Like, we were endlessly making pizza dough, and I actually ruined my oven at my house from cranking it up way too high and making pizza dough every night. But we brought 4 recipes in for our opening weekend here that were home recipes for pizza, and actually they're still pretty much, I think they're all on the menu still.
And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Culture is probably one of the hardest things that we've had to deal with and encounter. It's not something that we thought of before we opened this place, other than, we started with 12 employees, so culture was easy when we were small. But as we've grown to have over 100 employees, it's been 3 locations, and dealing with people up in 3 hours away, it's given us our challenges.
And it has to come from an earnest, real place. It can't be a head fake toward, oh, look, we're responsible in our community. We're getting our hands dirty every day. We're meeting nonprofit partners. We're going to mobile food pantries. We want to show them that it's not just an espoused value in the workplace. We're actually walking that walk and talking that talk. And it's probably the best way we can help the company is by demonstrating its values instead of just talking about them. Community giving is something that a lot of people do, but in my opinion, a lot of people don't understand how to do it in an effective way. We have spent a lot of time listening to nonprofit leaders in our neighborhoods tell us about the problems they confront. They may not be the ones that we expected, but if you start with the end in mind and the means in mind and not the end, that's how you really design great projects. And so some of the big projects we worked on recently, every year we fund every single mobile food pantry on the west side. It's $25,000 worth of food for people who are food insecure in our neighborhood, and it's really every single dollar stays within a few mile radius of here. We're especially proud of that.
Chris mentioned the mobile food pantries, so that we go to these mobile food pantries and we see the people getting the fresh produce and milk and things that perishables that they can't typically get at with can drives, and it's crazy to see the number of people go through the line and to meet them and to see their faces. It's so rewarding.
So we're currently doing a project with Safe Haven Ministries to combat domestic abuse in our neighborhoods, and
that actually came from the heating grant. So when Chris was saying that we're going to and figuring out where the problems are, we think that we know where the problem is. A lot of people can't pay their heating bills. Well, that's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that these are survivors of domestic abuse.
And the reason they got past due heating bills is they were fleeing a domestic situation and trying to start over, but debts at their previous residence hampered it. So we started to understand how this all connects and speak to professionals in those nonprofits, say, how can we best combat this as a West Side brewery? It's how can we turn pizza into change?
I think the root of our giving, honestly, is from our upbringing. We were fortunate to be able to go to a parochial school that taught us, solid values and care about other people. We just maybe a little bit too much sometimes.
Our general manager says, hey, there's a producer from 60 Minutes upstairs having a beer and wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? And they're asking us to set aside 6 tables to keep them empty until 5 o'clock when they get here. So we're doing the math, like how we're gonna lose thousands of dollars, but if Oprah comes, is it worth it? Entrepreneurship is not for the weak of heart. we were sat down here and they kept pushing it back another hour. Finally, we got this message that we're on the way, Oprah's with us. And we went out the back stairs and Max got to greet Oprah. Hi, Oprah, which is a strange sentence to say, but Oprah came up and we got to have beers and dinner with probably the most recognized woman in the world on tables that we built,
right over here
on
in the
beers
corner
that we brewed, and I don't think it's I don't think we'll ever beat that. I mean, that's pretty much unequivocal.
I'll never forget it, or the looks of the people's faces that were sitting up here. That
My wife was
had no
sobbing,
idea that
fangirling
Oprah-
out.
Yeah, so they didn't ask us to close the upstairs. They just wanted to reserve half of the tables.
She
up
wanted
here.
to walk around the room and meet people.
Yeah. So I walk in the door with her after greeting her, and everyone's jaws just dropped.
And people are going, "Is that?" I'm like, "Yeah, right. It is her." I can't hardly believe it's happening myself. So I run down to the kitchen. I'm like, "Oprah's here.
Yeah,
Make
so-
the best pizzas you've ever made in your life."
To this day, I hear about Oprah once a week, I'd say. Still.
I hope that for the people who read this book and buy this book, that they're inspired by it and see ways to make giving just as much a part of their business as anything else they do. Because I think at the end of the day, that's the type of commitment it takes to take it from being a facile, shallow thing you do during the holidays to a core part of your brand and your business. And that's how you really make an impact on a neighborhood. And that's how you move the needle for the missions of nonprofits that you work with.
If I can throw something in, if every small business took this approach, just think about how much of a difference that would make.
And I feel that small businesses may not often recognize their role in philanthropy. Philanthropy calls to mind major gifts and billionaires and Rockefeller and these kind of things. But as customers get younger and generations are changing in the marketplace, younger people may not have the cash to write checks to big nonprofits, buy gala tickets for $500 a plate. They want to do it through the marketplace. And I am encouraging small businesses to see their role in the future of philanthropy. You meet people in the habits they have, into the places they are, and direct that wealth toward good things. I believe that what makes the breweries in Beer City special is the fact that pretty much without exception, the owners are involved. You're gonna meet the people running these breweries. They're native locations, owner operated. There's not a lot of outside capital. Most of us are home brewers that went pro. And I think what our customers like about us, I hope, is that we're there talking to them every day. We have an active role. We're not sitting in some high-rise counting our money. We're probably in the bathroom plunging the toilet because it needs to be done. But I think that's why people root for us. I think that's why there's so much camaraderie in this business, is because authentic people are running these businesses, and it's not a lot of outside venture capital like you might see in other places. It's muscle and blood and sinew.
And I think that's as much as why we are Beer City, USA as anything. Our beer's great, don't get me wrong, but the people are what make it even next level. So,
because what good is beer if you're not enjoying it with someone else, and you're not creating a great memory with it? I mean, you can have the greatest beer in the world, but it really doesn't matter if the people are not at the forefront of the process.